My sister dragged my son by his hair while my parents laughed because he ruined her dress. I said nothing, just took him home. The next morning, police surrounded their house because that brat was the real owner through the trust his grandfather left in my name. My sister's hand twitched in my son's hair like she was wringing out a towel. She dragged him across the marble foyer. His small feet scrambled for purchase, sneakers squeaking against stone. He was the kind of broken, gasping sobs that come from real pain. "Little brat ruined my Valentino," Amanda screamed, yanking harder. My parents stood in the arched doorway to the living room, watching, smiling. Mom actually laughed. "That's what he gets for being careless. $600 dress." Tommy was 5 years old. He'd spilled apple juice, half a cup, accidentally knocked it over reaching for a napkin at Sunday brunch. I watched Amanda drag him toward the curved staircase. His scalp was bright red where she gripped his hair. Tears streamed down his face, dripping off his chin. "Amanda, let him go." My voice came out calm, flat. "Not until he apologizes properly." She shook him like a rag doll. "Look what he did." The juice had splashed on her dress, a small stain on the hem, maybe 3 inches across. "He already said sorry. Not good enough." Amanda yanked him closer to her face. Tommy whimpered, trying to pull away. "This dress was custom made in Milan. Do you know what that means? Do you?" Tommy just cried harder. Dad chuckled from his leather wingback chair, crystal tumbler of scotch in hand. "Maybe it'll teach him some respect. Kid needs to learn consequences." I walked over, carefully peeled Amanda's fingers from Tommy's hair, one at a time. "We're leaving." "Good," Amanda spat, stepping back. Her face was flushed, perfectly contoured makeup showing stress cracks around her eyes. "Take your little monster home before he destroys something else." I scooped Tommy into my arms. He was shaking. He buried his face in my neck, small hands clutching my shirt. "Sarah, don't be so dramatic," Mom called after us, voice sing-song. "It's just discipline. You're too soft on him, that's why he's so clumsy." I didn't respond, just carried my son through the 10,000 square foot house, past the imported chandelier, past the original Monet in the hallway, past the marble fountain in the atrium, out the front door, down the circular driveway to my Honda Accord, parked behind Amanda's Porsche and Dad's Mercedes. Tommy cried the entire 23-minute drive home. "I didn't mean to spill it, Mommy. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." "I know, baby. I know you didn't mean it." "Is Aunt Amanda mad at me forever?" "Don't worry about Aunt Amanda." "But her dress." "It's just a dress," he hiccuped. "Grandma said I'm clumsy." My hands tightened on the steering wheel. Claire and I had been married for 3 years when Alex died. Car accident. Drunk driver ran a red light on Highway 580. Alex's Civic didn't stand a chance against the F-250. He died instantly, according to the police report. Detective James Morrison, Oakland PD, 15 years on traffic division. "He didn't feel anything, ma'am. I can promise you that." That was supposed to be comforting. Tommy was 3 years old when his father died. My parents had been struggling financially for years. Dad's real estate business had collapsed in 2008. By 2012, they'd filed for bankruptcy, lost their house, lost their cars, lost everything. Alex's father, Robert Chen, had helped them, quietly, without fanfare. Robert owned a property development company, Chen and Associates, founded 1978, 46 years in business. He'd bought my parents a house, cash purchase, $3.8 million for the place on Rosewood Drive, put it in a trust for Tommy, let my parents live there rent-free. Family helps family, Robert had said. Let them have their dignity. I'd agreed to keep it quiet. For 10 years, my parents thought they owned that house. For 10 years, they'd lorded it over me, made me feel small, made comments about my little apartment and how Tommy deserved better. For 10 years, they'd lived in luxury on my dead husband's father's generosity while treating us like charity cases. And today, Amanda had dragged my 5-year-old son by his hair while they laughed. That night, after Tommy finally fell asleep, after 3 stories, 2 glasses of water, and 45 minutes of him asking if he was a bad kid, I went to my closet, pushed aside the winter coats, opened the safe bolted to the back wall. Code 0823. Tommy's birthday. Inside was a folder I hadn't touched in 21 months. The folder Robert Chen had given me 3 days before he died. Cancer. Stage 4, pancreatic. He'd lasted 6 months after diagnosis. I opened the folder. Trust documents. 53 pages. Prepared by Margaret Ostroff, estate planning attorney. 32 years at Whitman & Associates. The Alexander Chen Family Trust. Established March 15, 2012. Beneficiary, Thomas Alexander Chen, my son. Trustee, Sarah Elizabeth Chen, me. Assets, primary residence, 2847 Rosewood Drive. Current market value, $4.2 million. Investment portfolio, $1.8 million. Life insurance proceeds, $750,000. Rental properties, 3 commercial buildings. Total value, $2.3 million. Total trust value, $9.1 million. The house on Rosewood Drive. The house my parents lived in. The house they thought they owned, except they didn't. Tommy owned it. I managed it. They were tenants. They'd never known. Robert Robert had asked me not to tell them. Let them have their pride, Sarah. They've been through enough. I'd agreed, but pride didn't give you the right to hurt a child. I looked at the clock. 11:37 p.m. Called Margaret Ostroff's emergency line. She answered on the third ring. Sarah, I need the house back, the one on Rosewood Drive. Silence for 3 seconds. Your parents' residence? Tommy's residence. Legally, I want them out. May I ask what prompted this? My sister assaulted my son. My parents watched and laughed. I'm done. Another pause. I'll file a notice to quit in the morning. They'll have 72 hours to vacate per California law. Do it. Sarah, are you certain? I'm certain. The next morning, I took Tommy to school like normal. Packed his lunch, peanut butter sandwich, apple slices, goldfish crackers, drove him to Carson Elementary. Mrs. Patricia Reeves, his kindergarten teacher, 15 years teaching experience, greeted us at the door. Morning, Tommy. Tommy nodded but didn't smile. Mrs. Reeves noticed. Everything okay? He had a rough day yesterday, I said quietly. She nodded, understanding without details. I kissed Tommy's forehead. Love you, baby. Love you too, Mommy. I drove to work, customer service rep at Bay Medical Supply, $42,000 a year, and tried to focus. My phone rang at 10:47 a.m. Amanda, calling from Mom's phone. I let it ring 4 times before answering. Hello? Screaming. Absolute screaming. What the hell did you do? I pulled the phone away from my ear. I don't know what you mean. The police are here. The sheriff is here. They're saying we have to leave. They're saying this isn't our house. That's unfortunate. This is our house. Dad bought it 10 years ago. Actually, Robert Chen bought it for Tommy. You've been living in my son's house for 10 years. Rent-free. Dead silence. Then Amanda's voice, barely a whisper. That's impossible. The trust documents are public record. You have 72 hours to vacate. Sarah, you can't. We have nowhere. You should have thought about that before you dragged my 5-year-old by his hair. It was just he ruined a dress. He ruined a dress. And you physically assaulted him while our parents laughed. Mom's voice came on the line. Sarah, be reasonable. This is our home. It's Tommy's home. You're just tenants, and your lease just ended. But where will we go? Figure it out. The same way I figured out how to raise Tommy alone after Alex died. Sarah, please, you watched your daughter hurt my child. You thought it was funny. He needed to learn. He's 5. Children need discipline. He cried himself to sleep asking if he was a bad kid. Because of you. I heard her sharp intake of breath. 72 hours, I said. Don't call me again. I hung up. By noon, I had 17 missed calls. Amanda, Mom, Dad, Amanda again. Text messages flooded in. Amanda, you're destroying our lives over an accident. Mom, please reconsider. We're family. Dad, this is vindictive. Your mother is having a breakdown. Amanda, I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. Please don't do this. I turned my phone off. At 2:15 p.m., my supervisor, Karen Chen, no relation to my late husband, called me into her office. Your sister's been calling here multiple times, says it's an emergency. It's not. Karen looked at me. She was 52, grandmother of 4, 28 years in customer service. She knew family drama when she saw it. You okay? I will be. Take the rest of the day. Paid. Sort out whatever you need to. Thank you. That evening, Margaret Ostroff called. They've hired an attorney, Martin Greaves from Greaves and Richardson, 20 years practicing real estate law. My stomach dropped. Can they fight this? They're going to try. He's filed an emergency motion arguing adverse possession. What's that? It's a legal doctrine where someone can claim ownership of property they've occupied for a certain period, usually 5 years in California, if certain conditions are met. Will it work? No. Adverse possession requires the occupation to be hostile, without the owner's permission. Your father-in-law explicitly gave them permission. The trust documents prove it. Plus, we have canceled checks showing the trust paid the property taxes every year. So why file it? Delay tactic. He's trying to buy them time. The hearing is set for Friday morning, 9 a.m. Judge Maria Santos presiding. I'll be there. Sarah, there's something else. They're planning to argue that you're acting out of spite, that this is retaliation for a family dispute, not a legitimate trust administration decision. It is retaliation. I know, but we need to be careful how we present it. Bring documentation of the incident. Photos if Tommy has any marks. Witness statements if possible. I have photos. I took them that night after he fell asleep. His scalp was red and swollen where she pulled his hair. Good. Bring them. And Sarah, prepare yourself. They're going to make you the villain. Wednesday afternoon, Dad showed up at my apartment. I was washing dishes when I heard the knock. Looked through the peephole. Dad, looking older. Gray hair, thinner, face drawn. I opened the door but didn't invite him in. Sarah, Dad, can we talk? You have 2 minutes. He shifted his weight. Your mother's in the hospital. She had a panic attack. They're keeping her overnight for observation at Highland Hospital. I'm sorry to hear that. This is killing her, Sarah. Killing both of us. We have nowhere to go. You have 3 days to find somewhere. We can't afford anything comparable, not even close. I'll pay rent. We'll sign a lease. Whatever you want. You watched Amanda hurt Tommy. It wasn't, she was upset. You laughed, Dad. You said maybe it would teach him respect. His face flushed. I didn't mean, yes, you did. You've spent 10 years making us feel small, making Tommy feel like a burden, but you were living in his house the entire time, on his grandfather's charity. That's not fair. Tommy asked me if he was a bad kid. He's 5 years old and you made him think there was something wrong with him. Dad's eyes filled with tears. I'll apologize. We'll all apologize. No, Sarah, you need to leave. Now. He stared at me for a long moment, then turned and walked walked away. I closed the door. My hands were shaking. Thursday evening, Amanda showed up. I was putting Tommy to bed when the doorbell rang. I checked the peephole. Amanda, alone. Her hair was unwashed, pulled back in a messy ponytail. No makeup. Wearing jeans and a t-shirt I'd never seen her wear before. I opened the door. What do you want? To apologize. Her voice was hoarse. I'm sorry, Sarah. I'm so sorry for what I did to Tommy. You're apologizing because you're about to lose your house. I'm apologizing because I was wrong. I hurt him. I shouldn't have. I was angry about the dress and I took it out on a child and I'm sorry. You dragged him by his hair. I know. You called him a brat. I know. You traumatized him. Amanda started crying. I know. I'm a terrible person. I'm a terrible aunt. But please, Sarah, don't punish Mom and Dad for what I did. They laughed, Amanda. They stood there and laughed while you hurt my son. They were wrong too. We were all wrong. But we're family. We can fix this, please. No. Sarah, you've had 10 years to be family. 10 years to show kindness. 10 years to be grateful for what Robert gave you. Instead, you made us feel worthless. That's not true. You called my apartment that little shoebox. You told Tommy he'd have a better life if I'd married better. You made comments about my clothes, my car, my job. Every single time we visited, Amanda's face crumpled. I was jealous. Of what? Of you. Of how close you and Alex were. Of how Robert loved you like a daughter. Of how you had Tommy. I wanted what you had. And when Alex died, I thought... She stopped. You thought what? I thought you'd come crawling back to us. That we'd finally be the ones with power. The ones who mattered. I stared at her. But you didn't, Amanda continued. You kept going. You raised Tommy alone. You worked. You survived. And I hated you for it. Get out. Sarah, please. Get out of my apartment. Now. She left, sobbing. Friday morning, 9:00 a.m. Superior Court of Alameda County. I sat with Margaret in the courtroom. Tommy was with my friend Lisa, his Aunt Lisa, who'd taken the day off work to help. My parents sat across the aisle with Martin Greaves. Amanda sat between them, eyes red and puffy. Judge Maria Santos entered, late 50s, Latina, sharp eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. Case number 2024, CV08847. Chen Family Trust versus Jonathan and Patricia Morrison. Unlawful detainer action. Margaret stood. Margaret Ostroff for the plaintiff, Your Honor. Greaves stood. Martin Greaves for the defendants, Your Honor. Judge Santos reviewed the file for a long moment. Mr. Greaves, I've read your motion. You're claiming adverse possession? Yes, Your Honor. My clients have resided at the property continuously for 10 years, maintained it at their own expense, paid all utilities, and reasonably believed they owned it based on representations made by the late Robert Chen. Did they pay property taxes? Greaves hesitated. No, Your Honor. The trust paid property taxes. Did they have a deed in their names? No, but they had an oral agreement with Mr. Chen, an oral agreement permitting them to reside there rent-free, which is not adverse possession, counsel. It's a license to occupy, a tenancy at will. Your Honor, my clients have nowhere to go. They're both over 60. Mrs. Morrison has significant health issues. Forcing them out with 72 hours notice is unconscionable. Is there a written lease? No, Your Honor. Any documented agreement guaranteeing them a right to remain? The oral agreement is not enforceable for a property interest. You know this, Mr. Greaves. Judge Santos looked at Margaret. Ms. Ostroff, do you have documentation? Yes, Your Honor. Margaret handed the clerk a folder. The original trust documents dated March 15, 2012 and notarized. Death certificate for Robert Chen, died September 2023. Property tax records showing the trust has paid annually since purchase. Letters from Robert Chen to the defendants confirming they were residing as his guests, not as owners or lessees. Judge Santos reviewed everything. 5 minutes of painful silence. Then she looked up. The trust documents are clear. The property is titled in the name of the Alexander Chen Family Trust. Thomas Alexander Chen is the beneficiary. Sarah Chen is the trustee with full authority to manage trust assets. She looked at Greaves. Your clients were tenants at will. No lease, no rent, no ownership interest. The trustee has revoked permission. They must vacate. Your Honor, please consider the humanitarian. Mr. Greaves, I'm also considering that the catalyst for this eviction was an incident where the defendant's daughter physically assaulted the minor beneficiary. Judge Santos gestured to the photos Margaret had submitted. These photos show clear evidence of injury to a 5-year-old child. The defendants witnessed this assault and, according to the plaintiff's statement, laughed. Mom made a choking sound. Motion denied, Judge Santos said firmly. The defendants have until Saturday at 10 a.m. to vacate. If they fail to do so, the Alameda County Sheriff will remove them and their possessions. Furthermore, I'm awarding attorney's fees to the plaintiff. The defendants will pay Ms. Ostroff $8,500 for her time defending against this frivolous claim. Mom gasped. Amanda started crying. Dad just stared at the table. Court is adjourned. The gavel struck. Saturday morning, 9:47 a.m. I drove to Rosewood Drive with Tommy in the back seat. Where are we going, Mommy? Just to check on something, baby. 2 moving trucks filled the driveway. Dad, Mom, and Amanda hauling boxes down the front steps. Neighbors lined their lawns. The Martinez family, the Johnsons, the Patels, Mrs. Chang from next door, no relation to my late husband, the same neighbors who'd attended my parents' parties, who'd admired their success. I parked on the street, got out. Amanda saw me first. Her face was blotchy. eyes swollen. Happy now? Not particularly. Mom rushed over, desperate. Sarah, please, can't we work something out? You had 10 years. We didn't know. You didn't know that treating people like garbage might have consequences? Dad appeared, carrying a box labeled kitchen. What do you want from us? Nothing. I don't want anything from you. Then why are you here? To make sure you're actually leaving. Amanda's phone rang. She answered, voice shaking. Hello? Her face went white. The country club. They're terminating our membership. They're asking why our account bounced. That's right, I said calmly. The country club, the car leases, the spa memberships, all paid from Tommy's trust. Mom's legs buckled. Dad caught her. Robert set up automatic payments for everything. Your lifestyle, your status, all funded by the trust. I canceled every payment yesterday. More neighbors were watching now, recording on phones. And I told Margaret Bradley, the country club president, exactly why. She was very interested to hear how you treated Robert's grandson. Amanda sank to her knees on the driveway, surrounded by boxes, surrounded by witnesses. You're destroying us, she whispered. No, I'm just telling the truth. I got back in my car. Tommy looked up at me. Mommy, was that Grandma's house? No, baby, that was your house. Your grandfather left it to you. Oh, he thought about it. Can we get ice cream? Yeah, baby, we can get ice cream. I pulled away from the curb. In the rearview mirror, my parents stood in the driveway, surrounded by their belongings and the neighbors who now knew the truth. The house they'd lived in for 10 years had never been theirs, and now everyone knew it.